It begins now.
What's up, everybody? Here at the end of The War Within, the first dramatic chapter of the World Soul Saga, we've seen the adventure take us into the depths of the world, and even to worlds cast out in the great dark beyond. Okay. We've seen our villain Xal'atath running around and amassing untold power. We've seen her siphon the energies of Dalaran, and even those of the black blood beneath Azj-Kahet. And recently, Xal'atath assumed the power of the last Void Lord, Dimensius. So the question remains, what will she do with all that power? And what are her intentions relative to our precious
This guy's voice is really cool.
So
he
now,
should do voice acting.
As midnight descends, and the second, darker chapter of our trilogy begins, Xal'atath has returned to Azeroth, leading an army known as the Devouring Host, intent on snuffing out the light of the Sunwell and plunging the world into darkness.
Nobody snuffs
You, the heroes of
the
Azeroth,
Sunwell but us.
will be set on a collision course with Xal'atath.
No.
To save not only Azeroth itself, but everything that is.
That's a lot to ask. Alpha footage! Yo! Midnight! Tell me
Hi,
about
everyone.
it.
As we kick off our Midnight Alpha, we'd like to give you all a deep dive into what's in store. We want to recap everything we've shared so far, along with some brand new details. Today we're going to talk about the story of Midnight, as well as the zones, dungeons, delves, and raids that await if you want to save our world from Xal'atath. We're also going to talk about some big new features coming in Midnight, like Prey and the Devourer Demon Hunter specialization. And of course, let's not forget housing. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Housing.
And as always, thank you for being a part of this amazing community. For choosing to spend your time in Azeroth and with each other. Now, without further ado, let's see what's in store for our home away from home. After all, it's nearly midnight.
It's nearly midnight.
The void storm rages in the sky.
Wait,
a surging vortex of shadow and chaos.
All right.
Xal'atath has returned. Wielding the dark heart, she carves a path of destruction through once tranquil lands.
She wasn't our friend?
Her all-consuming goal, devour the heavens, blot out all
Some people
light,
really like that.
and bring about her midnight. It is in the shadow of this swirling storm that the defenders of Azeroth must rally once more. For peace, for the light, for the good. This is not a battle. It is a reckoning. At the Sunwell, that eternal bastion of light and hope, Lady Liadrin and Lor'themar Theron lead the Blood Elves as they prepare to make their final stand. Because across all worlds and all stories, one thing never changes. Home is worth fighting for. Welcome to World of Warcraft Midnight. Your story begins on the Isle of Quel'Danas. In the immediate aftermath of Xal'atath's invasion, the Sunwell surges with light, calling out to all heroes of Azeroth for aid, while the vile creatures of the Void wage a relentless assault in the hopes of extinguishing it once and for all. Flying monstrosities attack from darkened skies, and malign foes manifest without warning to wreak havoc across the plateau. Stand true with the champions of Azeroth as they mount a desperate defense against this invasion. For if the Sunwell falls, so too does the world. The defense of the Sunwell leads you directly into Silvermoon City. But not the one you know. The renewed light of the Sunwell symbolizes Silvermoon's revitalization, shining over a city fully restored to a thrumming, living capital. Familiar landmarks gleam with fresh polish, while new areas like the Sanctum of Light and the Garden of Remembrance offer countless nooks and stories to explore. Inside the city walls, the threat of Xalatath's war draws the Alliance and Horde into wary cooperation, with shared spaces hosting common services like trainers, the auction house, vendors, and more. Around a third of the city remains off-limits to those under the Lion's banner, so the Alliance allegiant should tread lightly or risk being attacked on sight. Outside the city walls, however, is where your role in the fight against the Void really begins to take shape. The strength of the Sunwell infuses Eversong Woods with restorative energy, healing much of the damage of wars past and filling the zone with new growth and new life. All of what you remember of this lush, thriving forest is here. But Eversong is also a reimagined landscape of increased scale and greater beauty. Most noticeably, the Ghostlands and Eversong Woods are now joined into one large zone, which is itself joined to the Eastern Kingdoms.
I think.
Eversong's flourishing fluorescence is not without complication. Though the Sunwell's light is a boon to the environment, its surging power causes pockets of light bloom, small groves of light-enriched growth, to experience surges of their own. The light bloom's rampant propagation, if left unchecked, threatens to smother all life under an overgrown tangle. Your adventures through Eversong will have you investigating the light bloom, dealing with the aftermath of a Hawkstrider chick gone wild, helping a suspicious apothecary with questionable motives, untangling the secrets of two feuding nobles, and even getting caught up in a sinister murder plot, alongside Magister Umbric as he works to crack the secrets of the Void. Who am I gonna murder? It is up to you how your story progresses beyond Eversong Woods, with 3 available paths you can tackle in any order.
Okay.
Brave the ancient troll kingdom of Zulaman. Investigate the gnarled hidden roots of Harandar.
Yes!
Or accompany Arator on his journey to better understand the light, the void, and himself.
Is Arator hot?
Zulaman finds the Armani troll empire at one of its lowest points. The homeland of warlord Zuljin, Zulaman was once a place where Loa bestowed to the Armani their godly strength and were devoutly revered in kind.
I feel like
the temples still stand, weathered but proud. The eagle, the lynx, the dragonhawk, and the bear. Ascend windswept sky-scraping peaks, explore ruins shrouded in fog, traverse stormy wilds teeming with vicious beasts, and accompany Zuljara, granddaughter of Zuljin, and the pragmatic pillar of strength now leading the Armani, as she seeks a means to save her people from void-aligned cultists and the monsters they revere. The Armani are invaluable allies in the defense against Xalatath's invading force. If you help them fight for their home, they will help you fight for yours. At the confluence of the World Tree's roots lies an impossible primordial jungle known as Harandar. It is here that Azeroth's entire history wraps, twists, and braids, a literal entanglement of all that has been and all that will be. Harandar is a land of magical, powerful growth.
Love it.
Fungal towers, glowing moss bridges, and entire villages sprout from Harandar's wild, organic fabrics. The pulsing heart of this knotted tangle is the Cradle, once the domain of a nascent goddess, long vanished, and now the home of the Haranir, who have for generations lived secretly under its soothing light. The reclusive Haranir are a proud and insular people. They have long avoided interfering in matters of the world above. But Xalatath's destructive ambition does not stop at the surface. And the Haranir can no longer afford the luxury of neutrality. There is another way you can help with the defense of Azeroth against Xalatath's cruel machinations.
I didn't see Druid
Accompany Erator, son of Turalian and Aleria Windrunner, on a continent-spanning journey in the hopes of bolstering the Sunwell and strengthening the vanguard of the light. This story-driven adventure finds you traveling with Erator as he searches for sacred relics and attempts to peel back the mysteries of the Void, all while grappling with his own relationships to his family.
It's like Void Elf lore.
Erator's mission brings new experiences to familiar locations. Defend Light's Hope Chapel from an attack by Scourge forces. Fight through the darkened corridors of Scarlet Monastery to put to rest those who would pervert the light for their own nefarious gain, and work with Sunwalker Desco in Hammerfall
to
help Eretor in discovering the paladin he aspires to become.
Scarlet Monastery?
Eretor's story reaches its climax in the shadow of Blackrock Mountain, where alongside the Sons of Lothar, he must face the weight of his father's legacy and decide once and for all whether he is willing to rise to meet it. The raging center of an unraveling shadowy maelstrom,
the last zone.
And the epicenter of Xal'atath's power. Void Storm overflows.
So you pick your path, but you end up there no matter what.
Chaos and hostility.
Path. This is the last zone.
Storm fields twist and fold its space. Gravity becomes untethered and tethers again. Insatiable void creatures known as Dominar stalk the storm, each one as unique and ancient as it is hateful and hungry. They carry on their eternal hunt for power under the black gaze of 3 enormous nexus points, hubs of the malicious dark energy Xal'atath draws upon to fuel her void spar and conduct her unyielding assault against the Sunwell.
I'm ready
Join
for Comp
Azeroth's
Stomp
champions
there.
and the Void Elves in their
eternal.
quest to understand what powers this storm and stave off its approach.
Okay.
Though much of the world of Midnight lies in the ominous shade of the encroaching void, there is at least one refuge for the weary.
You heard him, a
the
Dominar.
Arcantina. What began as a hidden sanctuary is now a not-so-secret tavern haven for Horde and Alliance alike. A big, cozy space filled by music, chatter, and life.
Seems housing-related?
If the void is the bleak and the cold, the Arcantina is its opposite.
But it's not.
A warm spark in the heart of every patron.
I love it.
It is a place to gather with friends, find the perfect comfy sitting room, or just soak in the atmosphere of a well-traveled watering hole. As a crossway for people of all kinds, the Arcantina also serves as a source of new adventures. Familiar faces stop by here and there, spinning stories and offering quests that send you far across Azeroth in search of relics of the past. Follow the course they set for you to discover a fresh perspective on familiar locations. Xal'atath is determined in her destiny, an unrelenting foe with an army that never sleeps. But you can't live every moment in grim resistance. The Arcantina is always here, should you find yourself in need of a little respite. The mysteries of the origins of the Void and the knowledge and power to stop it are not to be found only on the surface. For true deliverance, as always, hides in snarled labyrinths, looming temples, deadly ruins. These delves, dungeons, and raids are the real font of power, the sacred and defiled spaces from which strength is not just earned, but taken. Across this void-darkened world hide myriad delves overflowing with incalculable danger. Located on the Isle of Quel'Danas, Parhelion Plaza is an outdoor delve
it's tier 11
that drops you into
danger,
the
so
heart
it is
of
calculable.
the defense of the Sunwell. Fight against the surge of the Void's attack by restoring Parhelion's defenses, commanding an artillery of light, ducking into pocket dimensions, and putting down Gladius Slana, a Dominar who uses summoned Voidwalkers as weapons against your stand. Expect to plunge the depths of 9 other delves and 1 seasonal nemesis delve when Midnight launches. You do not have to face these delves alone. Valeera Sanguinar is a powerful new companion with a rogue-minded approach to problem-solving. As a DPS, her killing spree ability has her moving through the shadows to lash out at multiple enemies. As a healer, she uses vampiric reaping to rip away the life force of enemies into orbs you can collect to heal. And as a tank, she uses your first mistake to taunt and do damage over time to any enemy that turns their back on her to attack her ally. Valeera is also a prolific provider of poisons that, depending on her role, empower you with more damage, better avoidance, increased speed, and more.
Wow, so she's gonna drug you up, juice you up with the poison?
Your adventures in Midnight eventually lead you down darker paths. Paths
Every
that
rogue
end
will
in
ask to be
overgrown
tanked now.
corridors and ruin-stricken relics, forgotten places of powers best left unstirred. Yet these dungeons promise plunder worthy of the peril, should you have the courage to overcome the challenges
I think
within.
Brand's earned a vacation.
Windrunner Spire, the former residence of the Windrunner
After
family,
everything we put him
haunts
through.
the skyline of Eversong Wood's western shore. The strained relationship of its namesake sisters, Varisa, Sylvanas, and Ilaria, imbues its halls with a sullen, spiteful energy. The restless spirits bound to this animosity threaten all who draw near. Among these spirits walks the Windrunner's sole brother, Lirith, who needs your help in quelling this restlessness and clearing his once great home of hate. Serenity, however, is not so easily claimed. There are other forces that seek dominion over this domain. Emberdawn, a fire-colored dragonhawk, claims the dilapidated gardens of the Spire as a nest for her young. She is fiercely territorial, answering intruders with both talon and flame.
Yes.
The derelict duo, comprised of the Banshee Callis and her loyal abomination Latch, lead a band of fanatical undead in a hunt for relics tied to Sylvanas. They meet outside interference with a mix of shadowy magic and brute strength. Commander Krolok, a merciless orc who oversaw countless conquests during the Second War that took Lirith Windrunner's life, stalks the Spire with an insatiable bloodlust. Since being slain in vengeance by Ilaria, Krolok knows only torment and the desire to pass it on. The restless heart, a concentrated whirlwind of grief and suffering, born from the conflict of the Windrunner sisters, envelops all who remain in turbulent
So the
turmoil.
sister's gonna have to make up,
This swirling specter takes the form of a ranger, combining the power of the wind with volleys of arrows to cut down the uninvited. Windrunner Spire was, at one point, a living embodiment of family and of legacy. With the help of Lirith and your allies, you can make it so once more.
It's cool we get to interact with Lirith,
7 more dungeons await you in Midnight, each one crawling with the Cutthroat and the Craven. Magister's Terrace and Murder Row in Eversong Woods, the Den of Nalorak and Mysara Caverns in Zulaman, Blinding Vale in Harandar, and the Voidscar Arena and Nexus Point Zenith in Voidstorm.
Nice.
The most tyrannical antagonists of Azeroth work their dark deeds from within Midnight's 3 new raids.
3 new raids.
The Void Spire, where 6 bosses hold court over the heart of the Void, and muster against the amassing vanguard of the light as it readies to storm the walls of Xal'atath's stronghold.
Housing did not cost a raid tier.
The Dream Rift, where you must join in the hunt for an undreamt god that never should have been, and put down half-birthed abominations that lash out against existence itself. And the march on Quel'Danas, an encounter still shrouded by the fog of war beyond the known presence of Beloren, the void-corrupted phoenix, who stakes a ceaseless watch over the entrance to the chambers beyond. The Void threatens to end all of Azeroth, to rend the world in the squall of a black tempest. But the extraordinary power it carries does provide opportunities to those heroes willing to embrace it.
It's a
Devoured
fight,
demon hunters bend the Void to their will, ripping Void fragments from their enemies and using them as the power source for cataclysmic spells. They are mid-range damage dealers, armed with a summonable Void Scythe, darting in and out of the fray as they dance on the line between control and chaos. Voidblade and Hungering Slash work in concert. Dash into melee range to deliver a series of crushing Void Scythe attacks, then use Vengeful Retreat to escape the enemy's reprisal. You can also start this combo off with a Void Charge,
it's like Red Mage.
Hunt. Metamorphosis transforms you into a familiar state of cursed power. The more you feed it, the longer it lasts. Ride the wave of annihilation by tearing apart souls and staying alive. Reap is a sweeping scythe attack that consumes all of your soul fragments for one massive burst of damage. Use Void Ray to cut through enemies in a straight line and leave them smoldering. Collapsing Star channels the immense energy of a dying star, focusing it into one single destructive blast. The more you cast it during your Void metamorphosis, the stronger it gets.
The female Void form
Demon
looks
hunters
awesome,
also
actually.
find themselves with new disciples in Midnight. Void elves are sharpening their warglaives and joining the hunt.
But do you get blue eyes? Blue glowy eyes?
Newly awakened to the dire threat of midnight, the Haranir join the fight for the surface as the next playable allied race. Haranir are deeply entwined with the organic world. Theirs is a culture shaped not by cities or by conquest, but by the roots, the stones, the quiet pulse of the deepest breath of the world. Their armor, their weapons, their skin, all are infused with the inner light of organic power. Even the mightiest primordial predator in Harandar knows to fear the telltale luminescence of a Haranir's markings in the dense jungle brush. They are primal, ferocious hunters, a force of nature unto themselves, who possess the racial ability to travel along the roots of the world, from Harandar to any world tree, or from anywhere back to Harandar.
Nice.
Haranir are versatile warriors who can choose from a wide range of paths, including those of the warrior, hunter, rogue, priest, shaman, mage, warlock, monk, and druid.
I think it's not out.
The last of which has all new forms that reflect the Haranir's unique connection to those hidden parts of the earth.
I don't know how I feel about that moonkin. It's kind of scary.
Is a secret opt-in initiative run out of Silvermoon City by Astalor Bloodsworn,
It's a little
a
scary.
blood elf with what some might call a
we gotta screen cap that and look back at it.
Astalor is after one thing: anguish, a powerful magic siphoned from Azeroth's deadliest threats.
You love the moonkin,
and he's offering generous compensation to heroes who are courageous or foolhardy enough to go chase it.
It was definitely an otter.
Astalor's lair in
for
Murder
swimming,
Row
I bet.
is your base of operations for prey. The place where you pick your targets, track your progress, and collect your rewards, including cosmetics, mounts, titles, and housing items. The deeper you go, the harder the challenges, and the more you unlock. Prey has 3 difficulties. Normal, which serves as an introduction to the system, along with offering plenty of challenge. Hard, where the ambushes get meaner and the encounters more intense. And Nightmare, which is just about the fastest way to gain intimate knowledge of Midnight's many new and scenic graveyards. Prey can ambush you at any time, whether you're questing, exploring, or minding your own business. Each time you defeat your target, you increase your advantage by tiring them out and buying time to find whatever dark hole they're hiding in.
Oh my god.
Higher difficulties incorporate torments, personal afflictions that only impact you. Torments cause a wide range of effects, like creating an AoE damage puddle under recently deceased foes, or haunting you with a bloody spirit that deals lethal damage when it catches you.
Sounds like an affix.
A torment can also manifest in the form of Astalor's impatience, forcing you to make a kill within a specific time limit before Astalor simply extracts his payment from you. Prey targets are all different, and all deadly. Magister Sunbreaker, a disgraced blood elf whose reckless magic is a threat to Silvermoon and everyone near it. High Vindicator Vareem, a zealot who believes the void can only be defeated by covering the entire world in holy flame, and is ready to put that belief to the test. Executor Canius, a sadistic dominar whose primary hobby is murdering anyone foolish enough to challenge his martial prowess. Prey is a way to add excitement, unpredictability, and challenge to your journey through Midnight.
I think it's going to be great.
But be warned,
I'm actually really looking forward to it.
There's a reason Astalor isn't chasing these targets himself.
He's lazy.
For those who tread the worn paths and soaring skyways of Azeroth, it is more than a world, more than story, character, or conflict. Azeroth is, and always will be, home.
Yes.
Housing in Midnight is dedicated to that ineffable feeling of being part of something bigger, of something greater, of living a real life as a true part of a real world.
Oh, Blood
Housing in WoW is built to give you boundless self-expression in the place you call yours. Collect hundreds of decorations and dive deep on customization. Place, rotate, scale, and move items to your heart's content.
Christmas tree.
This is more than changing a coat of paint or choosing a different picture frame. It's a sandbox for your imagination. World of Warcraft has over 2 decades of content, and the time you've spent in Azeroth over the years will yield a bounty of housing rewards. Milestones like completing your Legion Order Hall campaign or finishing completionist achievements like Back to the Beyond
What's Back
will
to the
award
Beyond?
housing items post facto. You'll also earn decor through dungeons and raids, reputation vendors, achievements, quest lines, housing endeavors, the auction house, holidays and live events, and crafting. All professions from all expansions can craft decor. Search the world for lumber, a new gathering resource, and use it to craft decorations that can be bought and sold on the auction house.
The whole world.
Many housing-specific items can be dyed, giving you greater control of the finer details of decorating. Imagine your dream home. Collect and craft the decor to bring it to reality. Then tweak it until it is just right. Floor plans are flexible. You can rotate and stack rooms to create multi-floor structures. A variety of room types and shapes are available, including normal squares and rectangles, L and T hallways, as well as some more fantastical configurations. Advanced mode takes the toolset even further, allowing you to adjust each piece of decor exactly as you want. Rotate, float, scale, and more to make your home a perfect reflection of your taste. And that's just the inside. The outside of your house is also customizable. Place your home how you want it on your plot. Add fountains, statues, planters, and more.
Yeah.
Change out your windows. Pick the perfect chimney. Add a tower. And decide on the door of your dreams.
So good.
Exterior plots also have the same advanced mode as interiors for even more modification. At Midnight's official launch, you'll have a choice between exterior themes based on orcs, humans, blood elves, and night elves. These aren't just skins. They're full architectural styles with unique customization options. Orc homes feature hide rooftops, bonfires, and rugged surfaces. Human homes are rustic, with sturdy stone walls, warm wooden floors, and colorful banners.
Music.
Level up your house to unlock more flexibility. New rooms and floors, bigger house sizes, increases in the number of spots for decor, and more. Every house is in a shared zone known as a neighborhood, where you and others can show off your homes, build community, and participate in rolling challenges to earn housing rewards.
House level
Neighborhoods feature a wide variety of biomes, from spooky forests and coastal plains in Founders Point to lush oases and windswept bluffs in razor-wind shores. All contain different kinds of plots. Some are secluded and quiet, while others are clustered for the socially vibrant. Your neighborhood is faction-coded in its aesthetics, but not faction-exclusive in its residency. You have the choice between two types of neighborhood. Private neighborhoods where guilds or groups of friends can form their own space. Public neighborhoods where you'll find a home among friends you haven't met yet. Private neighborhoods come in two varieties.
It's really, really stunning work.
Which scale to fit your guild roster.
They did on these
and
zones.
Charter neighborhoods, which are capped at 50 homes and are perfect for tight-knit communities. Endeavors are monthly neighborhood-wide activities that bring everyone together to complete tasks, unlock themed decorations, and contribute to helping your neighborhood evolve.
Did you see that?
Participate in endeavors to earn House XP and community coupons that give you access to exclusive decor. Above all, housing is designed to help you find your perfect space and transform it to your own fantasy haven. To create your own home, sweet home.
Nice. Wow.
And there you have it. Thank you so much on behalf of the entire World of Warcraft team for joining us for this overview of Midnight. And if after what you just saw, you can't wait to get your hands on housing, don't worry, because it's coming your way if you have Midnight in early December of this year. Thank you again.
Early
and we'll see you in
December. Early December, buds. That is the housing times. 2 months till we can own a house, so you can have your house ready for Winter's Veil this year. Which begs the question, will Santa come to my house? Or will he go to Ironforge? Like he always did.
Friends, we hope you've enjoyed this deeper look at Midnight. But as you can see, this fight is far from over. The drums of war thunder once again, and Azeroth needs her champions, now more than ever.
Hell yeah. Awesome. So I need to like go back. Is that the whole thing? Oh my god. This is a Q&A.
Welcome to the World of Warcraft Midnight Q&A. I'm Randy Jordan, and I go by Kyvax on the Warcraft community team. We recently asked WoW players on forums and social media sites to submit questions, and you delivered. So, we've got 3 leaders of the WoW development team here. Please introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm Ian.
It's Mega D Saint. Yes,
Hi,
I know.
My name is Paul Cubitt. I'm Associate Game Director on World of
I will try to refresh it. Maybe that's gonna fix it. Everything today is scuffed.
More challenging, or only the live
I don't know what to tell you.
forums and social media sites to submit questions.
I'm doing my best.
You delivered. So, we've got 3 leaders of the WoW development team here. Please introduce yourselves.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Ian Hasikostas, Game Director on WoW. Hi, my name is Paul Cubitt. I'm Associate Game Director on World of Warcraft, working on the Midnight expansion.
It looks like it's
I'm
on
Maria
their
Hamilton.
end.
I'm the Design Director for
I just
WoW.
refreshed it.
We got a lot of questions, and I want to get right to them. We're going to start with some housing questions. So, Cyglaive on the forums asked, it actually said, during a Gamescom interview,
We're gonna deal with it.
mentioned that Horde players would be able to use Alliance-style housing exteriors and vice versa.
No, that's not
However,
the case.
In a recent blog post, it was stated that the housing styles would be faction-locked.
It's
Can we
faction
get
locked.
clarification on that?
Yes, there was a bit of confusion definitely around the Gamescom messaging there. As we just saw in the deep dive video, the neighborhoods ultimately are anchored in specific locations in the world. If you are in the Alliance neighborhood,
voice is a little quiet.
On the outskirts of Stormwind in the Elwyn area. If you are in the Horde neighborhood, you're on the outskirts of Orgrimmar. While private neighborhoods can be cross-faction, you can have your guildmates, you can have your friends of the opposite faction move in. The general setting, the exterior houses there are going to reflect the location. The NPCs that are wandering around the neighborhood, again, are anchored in that place in the world. Maybe something that we revisit down the line, but for the time being, if you're
I think it makes sense. I actually think it's a good idea.
To reflect the Horde aesthetic. Take that up with the Orgrimmar HOA if there's a concern.
I think it's
Speaking of things wandering around, a player named Hey Hey on the EU Spanish forums asked, I know there are plans for combat pets to appear in housing. Are there also plans for hunter pets?
Yes, so pets are something in general that we're working towards. At release in Midnight, battle pets won't be available to be placed just yet. I think something that we need to solve to make that work on the engineering side is actually making sure that they can path and move comfortably around whatever configuration of objects you might happen to place in your home or in your yard. So we are planning on delivering that shortly after launch. Alongside that, we do want to add the ability to place your mounts in your mount collection. If you want to, have them on a hitching post in your yard, that's something we'd love to deliver as well. Hunter pets are probably trickier. Those are character specific, and housing is an account-wide system really tied to your warband. And so, pulling from specific characters' hunter pet stable would probably be much more challenging. I'll never say never, but that's not in the plans currently.
Decor. Bjorky on Reddit asked, how will the trading post housing items work? Let's say there's a chair on the trading post. Will we have to buy the chair multiple times if we want a set of 4 in our house? Will there be a 10-chair bundle for a set price? Or will the purchase give us infinite amount of chairs?
This is something we spent a good amount of time thinking about. There's going to be lots of ways that you can get decor starting in 11.7 and then into Midnight through achievements, through
crafting, through completing just the campaign of Midnight and so on. And we ran into a lot of the same questions that you asked, the person who asked this question.
Yes.
Yes, and for that reason, we're actually just not going to have them on the trading post, at least for the first few months. There should be plenty of other ways that you could start gathering decor for your house. And then you won't have to make that hard decision between, do I want this chair versus this cool mount or cool transmog?
Another question comes from Xanther on the forums. Xanther asks,
how about you just give us more
attendees? Housing plots work? If I want a certain plot and it's taken, do I have the option to try another instance?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You can.
Essentially, when you want to move house, you're just going to say, yep, it's time to move. It's all going to get packaged up for you.
They already confirmed.
Paul likes to say that a mage comes along and puts it into an arcane ball for you. Don't know if that's actually,
That is what happens.
Oh, totally. Okay. And then you can go to wherever you'd like to sort of deploy your house, and it just comes right back out of the bubble, set up exactly how you had it. So you can move around neighborhoods, you can move around different plots within a neighborhood. Yep, totally transportable.
Right on. Celia on the German WoW forums asked, will there be updates to the guild system in Midnight?
I think most of the updates we see to the guild system are going to be in the form of neighborhoods. We expect to see a lot of guilds, especially guilds who are playing a lot actively with one another, to build guild neighborhoods where you'll be able to live alongside one another. So instead of the typical ways you're interacting with one another in WoW, whether that's raid nights, Mythic Plus nights, PvP, whatever it is you choose to do, you might also just start running into one another in the morning when you go out to get the paper. And so really looking forward to seeing guilds build stronger connections based on those guild
paper confirmed.
The other systemic trappings of the guild system are something that we know is definitely due for a refresh. Guilds obviously have been there since the beginning, and there's definitely room for improvement. Our focus for Midnight, though, really was on the housing integration side of it.
They don't have time for that right now.
The rest of the system is something we hope to get back to in the near future.
Okay.
A highly upvoted question on Reddit comes from Chilligok. Chilligok asked, will we ever get another texture update for older races? Especially compared to Earthen, the hairstyles are outdated now.
We do have a couple which are coming in Midnight as you complete the Amani campaign in Zul'Aman.
Okay.
You will be able to unlock some cool cosmetics for Darkspear trolls, some cool hairstyles, and actually skin colors as well. And so if you have any Darkspear trolls on your account, you play through the campaign, you'll be able to get some cool
troll
customizations.
hairstyles.
This is one of the ways that we do try to approach this, is as it's appropriate to the story.
Other
we'll look
hairstyles.
for cool ways that you can integrate cosmetics into your own character. That's not the only way that we might do this, though. Yeah, exactly. I think it's something that we see as an issue to chip away at over time.
How hard is it to add a hairstyle?
Hairstyles, you name
Why
it,
does this
for the
take so long
to continue to bring them up to parity with the very newest options? It's not something we're able to do all at once, but particularly
can
where
you
it
add
makes sense
one
and fits the story,
in a year?
We're excited to keep adding them. Our long-term goal is to get to a place where every race, whether brand new or one of the original ones, has roughly the same number of options.
Okay.
So as we just saw in the deep dive,
I like that.
And going back to the Gamescom announcement, we have a system coming called Prey. And I have a couple of questions here about Prey. System of Cells on Reddit asked, will the Prey system make all mobs in the target zone more challenging, or only the Prey target plus world quests unique to that system?
Yeah, it will affect everything in the zone for you. So if you have chosen to go into the zone chasing a nightmare mode Prey, everything is going to be much harder for you.
That is so freaking good.
An aura
that's
that's
great
put on
news.
you, sort of like it's almost like an affliction in a way, or a torment. And as you move through that zone, it's going to be harder.
And the player in Prey is on their own?
They are when they finally wear down that boss. If it's in one of the harder modes, then you need to go mano a mano. If it's in the normal mode, then the rest of the players in the vicinity can help you out.
Gotcha.
Okay, so hard
the
mode.
WoW creator Fandy asked, is the Prey system planned to be a part of the World Row in Vaults?
Yeah.
They confirmed that already.
As we build our expansion, one of the last things that comes in is specifics on rewards. So we don't have the specific details now, but when we do look at Prey, we look at it as similar in difficulty and sort of player activity to the types of things that you do in Delves. And Delves do take up that bottom row of the World Row in the Great Vault as well. So we do expect, if you're running Prey, you're going to see better rewards in that row in one way or another.
Good. I want to get to one of the most highly upvoted questions we saw across all channels. This is from Weird Dandom Ally on Reddit. And that goes, any plans to rejuvenate the glyph system? All classes can take advantage of it for class visual customizations like warlocks have with their pets and druids with their forms.
Yeah, so there isn't a glyph overhaul planned for Midnight at launch in particular, but the general question of more customization for spell visuals, transforms, things along those lines, that's one that we're also very excited about and always looking to offer more customization, more cosmetic self-expression where possible. And the glyph system is a great vehicle for this. It's not the only vehicle, but where it makes sense, that's definitely one of the avenues we would use.
Speaking of highly upvoted questions, we got a lot from the PvP community. I want to ask a few of those. So starting with Kethcup on Reddit, the question is, do you have any plans on making PvP less daunting for new players?
We absolutely do, yeah. We're really excited to introduce a new feature called Training Grounds.
Yeah,
it's a feature where players can enter battlegrounds, fighting alongside other players against game-controlled opponents. So instead of fighting against other PvPers, potentially people who have been playing this mode much longer than you, who have better PvP gear than you, and are going to wipe the floor with you, you'll be able to fight against some opponents who you'll have a little bit more of a satisfying win rate against. And because of that, we think this will be a pretty good on-ramp for people who are PvP curious, who want to get into PvP, but feel like there's just too much of a steep on-ramp because of those daunting aforementioned players who want to wipe the floor with you. This is going to start with a couple battlegrounds that players will be able to jump into with Training Grounds, and we'll see where we go from there.
I think, we love PvP, broadly speaking. I think one of the challenges is it can be very daunting to get in, as the question implies. If you're getting into PvP for the first time, you're in some cases jumping into a pool that's filled with sharks who've been doing this for 20 years. But there's so much, there's nothing quite like World of Warcraft PvP and that style of conflict, that style of combat. And so really our philosophical approach as we move into Midnight to really try to rejuvenate and grow the scene is to broaden the base of that pyramid so we can kind of lift the whole thing up and help all levels of it, whether you are the most hardcore person competing for titles at the end of every season. Everyone will be better served if people feel like they can actually enter this community for the first time and discover what is so great about WoW PvP.
Let's all be sharks.
So eventually.
The PvP player and creator known as Supatees had the most highly upvoted question on our forums. He wrote, in the War Within, we saw major reward improvements and restructuring for Mythic Plus, which improved participation. Are there plans to look at the current reward structure for PvP, such as rating cutoffs or additional rewards?
There are definitely plans to look at this. One thing I can say that will be changing at launch in Midnight and the first season of Midnight is that top tier cutoff coming down from 2,400 to 2,300 for those rewards and titles. I think looking at how MMR has evolved and how the rating ecosystem has played out, that's been a bit too exclusive even for some of our best players. Broadly speaking, beyond that, I think there's a lot more that we would like to do with the system. That's not necessarily going to be happening right at launch in Midnight, but if you look, for example, at what we changed with Mythic Plus and new titles and new structure and things like the resilient keystone system in War Within, those changes came in War Within patches. So as we look to PvP and its evolution over the course of Midnight, that's definitely an area that we want to focus on.
Got another one. Sandent on the WoW forums wrote, will War Mode receive more well-needed attention? More activities like zone objectives or rotating events? Maybe a free-for-all treatment?
War Mode is fun. I think that's a good question.
New area into the Voidstorm zone, a giant War Mode area which reflects the same space as the Slayer's Rise Battleground. If you watched the deep dive video, you got to see that. That Slayer's Rise is also made manifest in the zone itself. And this is, if you've played War Mode in past expansions, you know that we've taken a couple War Mode areas and had maybe one in each zone, one in Ringing Deeps and one in Isle of Dorn, where PvP, when you enable War Mode, you'll have some special, unique activities. We took all those and glumped them all together right into this Slayer's Rise area, and so there's going to be a huge PvP playground if you have War Mode on, be able to do lots of cool world-class activities, reasons to just kill one another, and even if you don't have War Mode enabled, there'll still be PvP-themed content for folks doing world quests up in that area.
Why would you not have War Mode enabled?
That's a very good question. Yeah.
Because you're afraid of sharks.
Yeah, it's sharks.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Thank you. So, Maclemente26 on Reddit asked a question that we saw a lot of, which is, when can we expect reputations from expansions prior to Shadowlands to become Warbound reputations?
So yeah, taking full accountability here. I know that when we rolled out the warbands, we said that we were going to work our way backwards through reputations. We haven't made progress as quickly as we would have liked. We got some of the Shadowlands reputations, but not the Covenant ones. This is something we're going to pick up and resume. I can't commit to a definite timetable, but in the long run, we don't want this, internal disparity between how different expansions reputations are handled, and we'll continue to start with the most recent and work our way backwards.
Thank you. Sixten on Blue Sky said, War Within is the first WoW expansion without a legendary. Can we expect anything in Midnight, or is the team taking time to reevaluate what place legendaries have in the modern game?
I think we always want to avoid things seeming formulaic, where it's like, okay, you can expect it's a new season, there's going to be a new legendary, this is how it's going to work. Legendaries should always remain special. They should feel like these are items that have clear stories behind them and feel worthy of that special orange color. And yes, we're also looking always at issues with how they're awarded. We want to make sure they feel special, but also don't turn into something where it feels bad or grindy because they feel required if you want to be competitive. There's a fine line to walk there. There aren't currently any plan for the first tier of Midnight, but as we face certain foes down the line, it may make sense for some of the items that they yield to have that orange color, and we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
It was a huge non-answer.
Lower questions. So, as Mira asked, will we be getting any more background information on story regarding Lyrath Windrunner? Sorry. Any of the other Windrunner family members, perhaps?
Lyrath?
Absolutely. I don't want to talk too much about patches, but certainly in Midnight, as we go into the Spire, you will have the opportunity to really get a brother's view of his sisters and an opportunity to learn a lot more about what happened and what's happening in that place. And I mentioned before, we're going to see the sisters.
And Grody Toady on Blue Sky wants to ask about trolls. So here come all the names. Where is Vol'jin's story in all of this? I'm hoping we find a way to weave Vol'jin, Talanji, Zul'jin, Rokan, Zul'jan, and Zul'jara into a cohesive story about troll unity or cooperation.
Well, right out of the gate in Midnight, you're not going to see that combination of trolls, but you will see a combination of some trolls as we continue into patches and move forward. We're very much focused on what's going on with the trolls as well as what's going on with the Blood Elves. They have not always been on the best of terms for reasons, and there's definitely a story to be told about their relationship, and all of those folks come into that story.
Groxy on Blue Sky said, Midnight sees the Paladin forces of Azeroth fighting back the Void at the Sunwell. Can we hope to see more lore about the Tauren and Azeroth's sun god Ansha? Eyes of the Earth Mother told us how he and Elune slash Musha fought possibly the Void in ancient Azeroth.
Well, we are going to hang out with Desco a little bit in the Erator's Journey portion of our campaign at Midnight. And I feel like we certainly are going to look at how the Tauren view their mythologies, perhaps later in The Last Titan.
Okay, good. Okay. Let's talk about add-ons. The WoW creator Polka TV said, given the upcoming removal of many boss mod tools, how do you plan to preserve the intended difficulty of encounters once these tools are no longer available?
So yeah, this is a great question. For some extra context, I think folks are going to see in the next day or two, as some of the media interviews we've done in the last day go out, that we are rolling out so changes to the add-on API with the launch of Midnight. And so that is going to remove the ability for add-ons to read in real time combat state and combat information specifically. And one of the big reasons why we're doing this with the launch of a new expansion is so that we can really build all of our combat, our encounters around that expectation, around this new ecosystem. As we've been discussing over the course of the year, really the main goal with this shift is to create a level playing field where external tools are no longer felt to be required in order to engage in the content, at a competitive level. And also to shift some of the things that we are testing when it comes to difficulty, maybe away from Twitch reactions and how quickly you can run to the circle or diamond marker that your add-on told you to run to, and rather to more
I feel like
collaborative
we're gonna have some real growing pains
traditionally marked cooperative PvE
in this
WoW.
process.
But the goal is to keep difficulty largely the same. In terms of how many pulls it takes to down a boss for your guild, whether you are aiming for ahead of the curve and defeating Heroic, or whether you're pushing into Mythic or whatever else, overall it should take you about the same amount of time to accomplish what you're used to accomplishing. It's just that difficulty may come in slightly different places. Without add-ons to solve mechanics for you in real time, it may well be the case that we just need to give you a couple more seconds to get into place, or that there should be one fewer ad to interrupt, or what have you.
Okay.
We are going to be rolling out, we're actually going to be launching alpha with a raid boss available for testing early on. We have a ton of native improvements to the UI, like boss timers, boss alerts, so you can see a timeline of upcoming boss abilities, nameplate improvements, cooldown manager improvements, and more, to, again, kind of create a unified experience that's baked into the UI. But the goal at the end of the day is for difficulty to remain where it was, and we will be making tuning changes in alpha and beta, as well as, of course, once these encounters are live, to make sure that things are landing in the right place and players still feel well equipped to overcome the challenges in front of them.
Following that, Sped Bros on Reddit asked, what is your plan for upkeep and development of these now built-in add-ons?
Yeah, so I think, the functionality that we're pulling into the base UI is something that, as always, we're going to be evolving in response to player feedback. Again, part of why we're very excited to get people having a look at these right at the start of alpha is so that we have the entirety of the alpha and beta cycle to iterate on them before Midnight launches. And then, of course, as always, even after the game is live, we're going to continue to add functionality based on the player requests and the feedback that we're receiving.
Ossicrond on the WoW forums said, sculpting your UI over the years is almost like working on a classic car. Fine-tuning with different fonts, color palettes, and even different types of glow alerts. What is the depth of the available customization, and are there plans to expand it in the future?
That is so true.
So there's a couple of facets to this question. First off, couldn't agree more that I think UI customization and using add-ons to tailor the aesthetic of a UI, how information is presented and where it's presented, I think are one of the hallmarks of the WoW experience and really one of the strengths of the game for going on 21 years now. There are no plans to eliminate or remove that. The approach we've taken in changing the way the add-on API works really is just focused on access to that real-time information. There'll be details coming out very soon from our UI engineering team on exactly how this works. But whereas in the past, when we have restricted aspects of what add-ons can do, we tend to just kind of wall off sections of our UI and say add-ons can't touch this at all. But when it comes to things like nameplates or unit frames and the like, that would have been an unacceptable approach here because that aesthetic customization is so essential. So there's a brand new system that's been created where essentially pieces of information about what's going on in combat are put in the black box. And add-ons can paint that box pink or yellow or green or make it bigger or smaller, but what they can't do is know exactly what's inside the box and use that to drive logic. In addition to that, the new UI functionality that we're adding, whether it's improved nameplates or whatever, have extensive customizations in terms of size, shape, location, aesthetic, all of the edit mode functionality and more. But we have no intent of pulling back in any way from the aesthetic customization that add-ons have always offered.
Cutting to the chase, Felfer on the WoW forums asked, does this mean that existing add-ons like Deadly Boss Mods, Plater, or Details are going to break?
Yeah.
They will change significantly. I think certainly, day one, if you're logging into alpha and you try to enable them, I do not believe they will work due to changes in the API, but that's standard for any new expansion release. We are inviting the authors of a vast range of add-ons into our first week of alpha, so that's going to be coming up in just the next few days, to get their hands on these changes, to give us feedback about how we can better support their ongoing development. But yes, when it comes to the specific ability to read and process combat information and use that to drive logic,
they're involving the add-on authors,
and that will affect those add-ons.
Which is really good.
Give me one more. This comes from Herrick's on the WoW forums. Herrick's said, what are the plans regarding improvements to the default raid frames? In the effort to reduce the need for add-ons, raid frames are a major pain point for healers, where the default Blizzard raid frames are basically unusable without at least some external modification.
So yeah, we also have improvements coming to raid frames, definitely with healers in mind. If you're, let's say, a Resto Druid who wants to be able to see all of your HOTS on a target, that's something that we agree is very important and needs to be baked into the default functionality. Same with, encounter designers calling out major buffs and debuffs and things that you need to know in an encounter, whether you're a healer or just a raid leader wanting to keep tabs on the state of the encounter that way. And of course, as mentioned earlier, add-ons will still be able to customize the look and the feel and the size and the overall presentation of raid frames. There just won't be certain functionality that is driving logic based on whether you happen to have a certain debuff or not, but all the rest should still be available.
E. Chow on Blue Sky has a couple of questions. Given the connection to the Army of Light, the Sunwell and Blood Elves in general being their main rival in the Burning Crusade, will we see Draenei play any sort of role? Also, will Quel'Thalas be, with Quel'Thalas being part of the main world now,
I doubt
will there
it.
be any updates to Forsaken Lands?
So the Draenei, obviously will be part of the fight, part of the battle that we're waging against the Void. But this
isn't
chapter is
BC2.
focused on the Blood Elves and the Blood Elves struggle with some trolls. And
So why
we're
would the
gonna really be
Draenei
leaning in there
have a huge focus?
more than we are with the Draenei. Opportunities, will come up for the Draenei to have their moment in the light, as it were.
Yeah. And as it goes for changes to Forsaken Lands, well, there's some minor changes as we've added Quel'Thalas and Zul'Aman into the main body of the Eastern Kingdoms to connect them in. So there's a tunnel in the Forsaken Lands that does connect it in. We are going to see some Forsaken characters as well. We're actually going to be working with a little bit of a deep cut, but Alansis Fowl, the Archpriest, is going to be a character who appears and has a couple interesting interactions and chats with Eretor and Liadrin and others. So we're going to continue to build out Forsaken story as we continue.
Yeah, I think looking at how this is playing out and will continue to, I think we're very excited.
Yeah, I mean, Draenei are fighting,
we've heard
but they're not
from Gamescom onwards about the changes
centerpiece
to Silvermoon, Eversong, and more.
Of the expansion
honestly,
lore.
there was a bit of anxiety internally about the idea of revisiting an old location as for one of our zones, whether some players would view that as somehow lesser than coming up with a brand new place. But I think as people see this full splendor of Silvermoon, get a chance to revisit Eversong and what it's become all these years later, I think the excitement around that really excites us too, because we'd love to be able to tell more new stories in some of the iconic locations that resonate throughout everyone's fandom of Warcraft and what Azeroth is about. And so that will mean updating those locations, and I think that's something that we're excited to do more of as we look forward. Of course, the Last Titan will see us going back to Northrend, so that'll be a story for another day.
Yeah. I think we've for sure discovered that we can tell different stories when we go to old places and see how characters have changed, see how the spaces have changed. It's been a really cool opportunity to do that in Midnight.
Let's shift to some class talk. Thaxia on Reddit asked, are you planning on adding any new specs that can tank or heal for existing classes?
Not right now in Midnight. I think Devourer, Demon Hunter, and that new range DPS spec for them is our focus right now. But I think we've seen, whether it's this or whether it's augmentation, there is excitement around the idea of established classes getting new specs, and so that is something I think we are likely to explore as we look to the future.
Zerotics
non-answer to
asked, throughout the War Within, some classes and specs received visual updates, and as a monk player, the update to Vivify was very appreciated. Are there any other classes or specs that can be revealed to be getting updated visuals in Midnight?
Yeah, there's a couple really cool Apex talents. So Apex talents are the new talents you'll be able to learn at the bottom of your spec tree, and a lot of these have some fantastic visuals. Ones that jump out to me are The augmentation, where you summon a bronze dragon version of yourself from the future to fight alongside you for a little bit. The Frost Mage one as well. You summon a Hand of Frost that chases down your target and attack them. And so these are some of the new abilities that are going to get some new custom visuals. As far as like looking back at older visuals, as was the case with Vivify, this is something that we tend to do as we continue to build smaller patches. Most of our efforts for Midnight was building all the new stuff, but then as we continue building out the game, we look to the future. This is where we look back at, as we did with Vivify, find abilities where we can raise the floor and say, like, okay, this one has aged not as gracefully as the rest of our visuals, and we can bring it up to par with the rest.
Following that, we found a question from Nihenna on the German forums, and Nihenna asked, will the void/light topic be picked up in any additional class specs in the future? For example, Sunwell effects for a Holy Paladin, or perhaps void powers for a Warlock?
I don't know about void warlocks quite yet, but we do have a existing void themed spec, the Shadow Priest, my beloved Shadow Priest, which has a new ability, Tentacle Slam, which replaces Shadow Crash, and it is a giant voidy tentacle that slams down in a line in front of you and has a similar AoE component, but a lot more of a classic voidy Shadow Priest idea to it. We also have one of our Apex talents, the Discipline Priest, has Void Shield, which replaces your Power Word Shield with a Void-themed shield. So there are places where the Void and Light are leaking into our class design.
Going back to the support roles, Neo Sorrow on the EU Spanish
No, you love your
forums
tentacles,
asked,
yeah.
can we expect anything new
Die
regarding
slap.
the support role in Midnight? Will it be expanded to other classes? Is it considered that it maybe didn't work as expected for augmentation, and perhaps that just becomes a normal damage or healer?
So we're not planning on currently expanding into other classes, but we're also not planning on changing augmentation to just fit into the existing niches. I think there's a lot of excitement around the idea of support, and I think we've seen players embrace that fantasy. I think we are still iterating on evolving that specialization and getting to a place where we can find a happy medium, where it can kind of realize that fantasy and be effective as someone who bolsters the strength of your allies without also becoming so effective that it feels required in groups and kind of limits composition diversity. I think if we're able to achieve that, hopefully when we're able to achieve that, I do think we would like to look to what other ideas might apply a different fantasy to executing that concept.
Wow, that was such a careful PR answer.
The WoW content creator True Villain Manny said, with delves integrated into the story, will there be certain scenarios that are locked in as we level? And will there be additional story in those alternative scenarios with delves?
Yeah, as we move through the campaign in Midnight, we will be entering delves with specific goals in mind. And that particular variant of the story will have the objectives that we need to accomplish as we go through them. As always, our delves will have multiple variants to play through with different stories occurring. So yes, we will continue to use delves in this way, and look for opportunities to continue to build quest content that enters delves.
So let's go inside. Varteris on the WoW forums said, will delves have even greater variety than in the War Within? Maybe a randomized puzzle to solve, a race, a whole new set of abilities?
Yeah, there's a couple ways that delves are changing. We have a new follower, Valera Sanguinara, is going to come along, and she's going to mix things up. She's takes delves a little bit more seriously than Bran does, and a lot more stabbily as well. We also have some outdoor delves that are going to take place in outdoor spaces, and so this will just change up not only the vibe of the space, but your ability to move around, because you'll be able to use your ground mounts to get around. We're also just taking a look at the mechanics that we're using in delves in Midnight. So you can announce now that Midnight does not have any underwater delves. It also does not have any delves with a mechanic where you have to, say, pick up a candle or a totem and throw it ahead.
Oh, thank God. I hated that. It was horrible.
Folks, let us know how they felt about those, and we're not moving forward with those designs.
Thank you. Please do not ever do that again.
So Relentless on the EU Spanish forums asked a version of a question we got a lot. And Ian, what's stopping the World of Warcraft development team from doing a world revamp? Could we get a world revamp?
I mean, I think, the idea of revamping everything at once is a terrifying one.
I thought about fixing everything.
I think, as touched on earlier, we definitely want
in the whole world
tell new stories in iconic locations. And in doing that, we would certainly do much more than just do a fresh coat of paint on the area. We would really reimagine it and bring it into the present day as we have with Eversong. Our current focus is, of course, on the story that we're telling for the rest of the World Soul Saga.
World
that
revamp,
will touch on
buddy.
some familiar locations. But down the line, I think the lessons we are learning and the experiences we're having, revisiting some locations, open the door to doing a lot more.
Okay.
Saw a very upvoted question from Solera, a
Fix
French
everything.
WoW player
Update everything.
on X. Solera asked, without giving away
In
spoilers,
the whole world.
very important.
Okay.
Does Midnight introduce any completely new elven tribes or expand on lesser known ones? Maybe the Keldarai?
Without spoilers.
Without spoilers.
That's a tough constraint.
Yeah.
Maybe.
That's right.
I don't think it's spoilery to say we're going to be learning a lot about the elves and the elves' relationships with one another, and that would include Quel'Darai.
Thank you. And Zoris on the EU Spanish forums asked, with the Devourer specialization, all Demon Hunter abilities will use void effects and icons, even those shared by all three specializations. Has there been any consideration of extending this aesthetic customization to other classes?
So I think philosophically and narratively, what a Void Demon Hunter represents, what a Devourer Demon Hunter represents, is one who, rather than harnessing and channeling fel energy, is channeling void energy to turn it against those who originally wielded it. And so that is going to transform a wide range of their abilities. On the other hand, when we look at, let's say, a Fire Mage or a Frost Mage, they're not forsaking the arcane when they become a Fire Mage. And so Blink is still an arcane spell, and Counterspell is still an arcane spell, and so forth. And so I think when we look at other classes, we generally like to look at that broad base of multiple areas of focus. And just because you specialize in one thing doesn't mean that that transforms all of the others. That said, touching on some earlier questions, when it comes to glyph spell customizations and other things that players may want to customize the look and feel of their abilities, there's always an opportunity there.
Another highly upvoted question all over the place. I'll take the version of this question from Navarel on the EU German forums. Would you consider replacing the ready-made group in follower dungeons with characters from the player's warband?
Definitely something we are considering. Not something we're going to be able to deliver for Midnight, but ever since the introduction of both warbands and follower dungeons, this idea, this request has popped up. It's something that we're excited about internally as well. There's some technical hurdles to
they're working
pull
on
that
it.
information down in real time and make it work, but it's something we do want to deliver down the line.
Ian's not lying about technical hurdles. There were multiple technical hurdles in the way. We're actually jumping over one of them with Training Grounds, where we're changing the way that some of those game-controlled characters or bots are built to be building Training Grounds in this way gets us one hurdle closer to being able to do what you're asking for.
There are so many people on this development team that I would call technical hurdlers. Engineers, that's just what they do.
You're using Training Grounds to test and
Maria,
train the bots.
Silo on the WoW forums asked, will there be new mini-game type quests in Midnight?
Yes, there will be. We actually have a new mechanic that was created for Zulaman specifically, where you will do some, underwater stuff, but it's quite fun. It's the Amani Abyss style. You're gonna be going fishing troll style.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a revelation. I like that. While we're revealing things, Musselton on the WoW forums asked, I'm extremely excited for the Heronir. Can you share more information on their druid forms?
Yes.
Well,
show the picture.
If you watched
they showed us in the video.
Dive, you saw a flash of those.
Yes.
Fundamentally, they all have quills to throw back to sort of the Heronir. But the tank form is a pangolin bear with sort of bat-like ears.
Sort of got those ears.
Yeah, they got the
it's
ears
a what?
and the quills. And we have a wolverine
bear bat
for
pangolin.
our feral spec. We have an owl-like, quilled owl-like sort of boomkin. But best of all has got to be the swimming form, the swimming travel form, which is an axolotl.
Axolotl.
What? It's not an otter?
We're all going to learn how to say axolotl.
Yeah, I probably
it's an
said
axolotl.
It
I thought it was an otter.
Right. I think you did.
Okay, cool.
The reveal of the Heronir led to a very common question. And a version of that question that I want to ask you came from Toner on Reddit. Can you explain the decision-making process for which races to make playable races?
A lot of this comes down to narrative.
What? That's a question?
There's no secret that we started talking to the Heronir in the War Within, and this was not a coincidence either. We wanted to build a familiarity with
because they're awesome.
So
that's why
who these characters are when they do eventually become playable characters, as we've added them in Midnight. And of course, Midnight is part of a 3-chapter saga. We're in the middle chapter now. The Heronir are going to be a big, important part of this story, and this is why we chose to fold them in.
People do want ogres. Just give people the damn ogres.
In these conversations, but I know that it's not lost on us that there are widespread requests from players who would love to be
a
Sethrak or an Ethereal,
an ogre.
Or the like.
Just say it.
Part of the question there is, as Paul said, narratively, does it make sense for this faction to really join the Alliance and Horde?
To join the Horde, yes.
Cosmic, extraplanar, or more neutral by nature. But the reality of it is also, from a production perspective, one of the things we grapple with is that adding a brand new race to World of Warcraft is one of the most development-intensive things we can do, not just in one-time time commitment, but also in the long-term carrying cost for every set of armor we ever make for years and years to follow. And it's something that we have to weigh very, very heavily when we do. Building a race that uses or shares an existing rig, an existing skeleton, if it's an elven race or the like, makes that more straightforward. Again, that's not to say we're never going to add very novel or meaningfully different races down the line, but it's a very high bar for us to clear when we look at how much ultimately it's going to mean that we have to do less of in other places forever in order to support this additional race alongside the others.
As I've said to you before, I want Saberon. I will wait. I will be patient. Please give me Saberon.
The game does need cat people.
Bear on the WoW forums asked, will Heronir be unlockable in the 3 days of early access? I remember Earthen were not.
No, not during the first 3 days. Yeah. So during that early access, we want to make sure that we're letting players who are in that early access be able to play through the campaign and understand what's going on, but not getting any meaningful jumps ahead of anyone else who does not have that early access.
So cool.
Meredith on the WoW forums
asked,
how is Blizzard progressing in the war against toxicity in terms of the entire game?
Yeah, this is something that's a huge focus for us, and really, there's many facets.
How's that going for y'all?
The discussion. I think when people say toxicity, there's a few different meanings, perhaps, or things that they're referring to.
Have you fixed toxicity?
Some of it is just the overt, hostile, harmful, antagonistic interactions that may occur online between players. We're always continuing to shore up our reporting tools, improve real-time monitoring, and get to a place where people who are disrupting our game world can be punished and ultimately removed from it if they continue to do that. On the other hand, though, I think sometimes when people talk about a community or a portion of the game feeling toxic, that can arise from just mismatched expectations. Like, if I am listing a group and I'm trying to run a raid, and I have done that raid 12 times, and I have been through groups that have wiped and learned the encounters, it's reasonable for me as a leader of a pug to only want players who have a certain level of experience, who have also been through those learning wipes, and can succeed quickly. And so someone who is looking to learn may feel like, oh, this is very unwelcoming, this is kind of toxic, why am I not welcome here? And ultimately, that's an issue of aligning expectations. And I think there's a lot more that we can do on the pro-social side of things to help people find like-minded players and like-minded groups.
First clear bonus.
Wrong with wanting to complete something quickly and efficiently. There's also certainly nothing wrong with wanting to learn and wanting a patient group. Now, if you mix those two groups, there are going to be some conflicts that emerge naturally because of different goals and expectations. So I think a lot of what we're focused on right now is also how we can help players better connect with like-minded individuals so that they can have satisfying experiences where everyone is on the same page, working towards the same goals.
But if all the good players are playing with each other, then who's going to carry me?
Questions. We've got several. Will we get to see our alts walking about, or maybe sitting in a chair in our house? Paul.
Yeah, this is, we're looking at a lot of the same technical hurdles we talked about earlier, not only with being able to show players and other players in game, but also the pathing issues that Ian mentioned when it comes to being able to have your pets moving around and mouse moving around and whatnot. So not planned yet, but something we do talk about as potential for the future. And I'll take this moment to say that like housing is one of those features which is really exciting for us because there are so many cool ways for it to grow. As we've built Midnight and we're sharing housing for the first time, we're going to be looking to you to tell us, what do you want? Is it that we want to see our house? Do we want more features? Do we want more decor? Do we want more ways that I can style the interior, exterior of my house? So let us know as you continue playing.
I'm now allowed to tell you.
To feature the size of housing, this is something we've been working on for a very long time to really deliver what players have been expecting and what they deserve. But there comes a point when we're developing, especially a social feature, where we're almost hesitant to take it too far until we can actually share it with the community and understand what people are into, what they're maybe not into so much, what they want more of, what they don't need more of, to make sure that we're really putting our time and our resources in the places that are going to maximize that value for players. And so we're so excited to see people jump in the months ahead in alpha and beta, of course, and then beginning this December on the live servers, and see where it goes from there.
So here's a very specific question from Alastral on the WoW forums. For housing and professions, it was stated that professions through all expansions will be able to craft housing items. Will we be able to use this as a skill catch-up for the past expansions? For example, could a leather worker start at Wrath Leatherworking Skill 1 and craft Wrath-themed housing items to get all the way to level 75?
I mean, these will give skill ups for sure. Yeah. I don't know how many of them will be available at level 1, for example. They may be tuned based on how elaborate the piece of decor is, but in general, yeah, once you get the level that you're able to build these things, then you continue to use them to level up.
So many very specific requests. I want to just give you this one. It comes from Spera on the WoW forums. Is it possible to add a functional bookshelf to player housing that could store and display collected in-game books? I have a lot of those.
Okay, this is what I'm talking about. That once you share housing with the world, then 1,000 cool ideas come out. And so we start gathering up all these cool ideas and say, what can we do next? I can confirm there will be bookshelves. Whether those bookshelves will be functional, no, not at least to start, but this is a really cool idea for a collection that we're going to.
That's a really cool idea. I love that. Functional bookshelf.
A couple more. Ian. Devanir on Reddit wrote, what is the minimum player limit for a private or guild neighborhood? What happens if you make a private neighborhood with the minimum amount of people and then some of them go away?
So this is something that's still a bit in flux. I think our current thinking is that just like signing a guild charter, you'll need 10 players to charter a private neighborhood. And that's for a couple of reasons. Part of it is, in order for neighborhood systems, endeavors to really function optimally, there's a certain number of players that are going to be expected to really drive the system. But also a piece of it is just server performance. Using an extreme example, if literally every single player online had their own personal neighborhoods, that would be potentially millions of simultaneous entire districts that need to get spun up, trying to make sure the servers don't melt here. And so striking a balance between what's going to be a good social experience, but also recognizing that players have friend groups of various sizes, and we want to be as flexible as possible. I think if we're able to lower that number from where we're starting, it's something we would aim to do as we see how the tech side of it unfolds.
I saw an upvoted question on Reddit from a player named Backstabeth, and this is a question I have myself.
Fairly a trustworthy fellow.
Very much. Will there be a list of collections and their sources for housing materials before housing goes live so that we can begin to start hunting for those items, maybe reputation, achievement requirements? I'd love to know what I already have.
Do everything.
Close to having.
A ton of that is going to be visible in the alpha build coming up in just a day.
Oh.
We'll have a blog summarizing it, so you don't need to, go trawling.
Did you hear that, Boo?
And that way everyone can get a head start on checking off those achievements that you may have missed.
Today.
Let's come back to a couple of fun
questions
right, before we go here. Bale Samel on the WoW forums asked, are we getting a capybara, Loa? There are capybaras in the Yamani screenshots. The people yearn for a capybara, Loa.
Well, conveniently, there is one.
What?
His name is Philo. The
what are you talking about?
Of children.
Oh, nice.
What?
And I hope it has
She's already had that.
Headdress.
Absolutely, and a glorious necklace.
That's
what?
Perfect. Loa's should be very well outfitted, I think.
You already have a capybara,
on the WoW
Loa.
forums asked, could we see the return of class quest lines? Legion was great, and it was fun to have a unique experience questing on alts.
Yeah,
you want to go
quest
out?
lines come up really often as something people are excited about. We certainly do want to look more at, expanding on classes. We had a lot of fun doing the Warlock one, for example, not too long ago. But most recently, the best way for you to play some class quest lines, if you never played them, has to do with our lore walking, because where we had restrictions, for example, on the Xalatath story, previously, a lot of people didn't know anything about Xalatath and the knife, and by playing that lore walking, they had the opportunity to play that portion of the priest quest line. So we're hoping that as we build more lore walking, you'll have that opportunity to see some of that, but this is certainly an area that the quest and narrative team would be thrilled to do more of.
Good.
Okay.
It's our last question. And I
missed
cobbled this together from versions of this question that I found everywhere. I want to give a shout out to some of the people that I borrowed this from. Aziriel, Simplejack, Martian, Zuburius on our forums, all asked versions of this. Ian, how will player power progression be updated in Midnight, especially regarding Valor Stones?
So yes, so the way the upgrade system has played out over the last couple of expansions, I think we're happy with the sort of granular incremental progression that complements that spiky randomness of loot drops. But there is, and we agree with player feedback that we've heard, potentially one too many moving pieces and a bit too much complexity in the current system.
It's confusing.
So I can announce that Valor Stones as a currency will be going away in Midnight. You're already needing to gather the crests that you need, and that should be sufficient. We're also looking to streamline the system a little bit and more clearly pair individual crest tiers with appropriate gear upgrade tracks, so that there's potentially less confusion about what crest matches to what.
Oh, good.
Anything further,
good.
Paul?
Because this is confusing as hell.
Great. Yeah.
We're over here pumping fists.
Yes, absolutely.
Very excited.
Rip Valor Stones.
Well,
and on that note,
that's our time. Thank you, Ian, Paul, Maria. Thank you for taking the time. And thank you to everyone watching along. We've got Midnight Alpha testing starting very soon. We can't wait to see you there and welcome you home.
It started, Art. We are doing it now.
Thank you.